Stand by internet, and we are live. Hey, Adam, happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, Paul.
I'm Paul Vincent.
And I'm Adam Vincent, Vincent Esquire. Thanks a lot for joining us today for our Friday edition of Learn a Little with Austin Rutherford today. So good news. Someone else.
There's going to be someone smarter than us here shortly.
Rescuing you may actually learn a little.
Feed. Yeah, that's right. You may actually learn a little. So, Adam, how was your day today? We didn't get to talk.
Very good. The sun is out. You know, it's an 80-degree day in late September. That's pretty nice. Mid 70s, a nice day there. Keeping busy.
Right.
How about yours?
A real delight. It's a delight. I have some soil in my yard. I'm going to plant some grass. That's a very dad thing to do.
Excellent. Yeah, I gotta mow. It's been a while, which is not terrible, but
good. Well, let's
be a good little weekend here.
Let's do something productive here, huh? So, what are we going to talk about with Austin?
He's young and he's successful. He's knocked it out of the park with his business. So hopefully, I mean, I don't know. We'll find out what he has to say about that.
He's got a better beard. I think he's younger, but his beard's definitely stronger.
Wait. Not fair. Once again,
he's just all around better. He'll be more entertaining. So anyway, we're looking forward to him. We're lucky enough to help him out a little bit with a couple of his business venture fun things that you get to deal with lawyers on. And I mean, without further ado, Adam, maybe we should drag him out of the green room if he's done snacking.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That's good. All right, we'll bring him on here. And boom!
What's going on?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Thanks for joining us on our humble little Learn a Little show here.
Absolutely. No, I'm looking forward to
it. So we didn't really have much interesting to say, but we did mention that you're a real estate hustler. So why don't you give folks a little background about you? We'll get into how you got here, but just, share with the audience a little bit about Austin.
For sure. No, absolutely. So way back, dream was to be an NBA ball player. Didn't work out.
Oh man, I did that too.
Yeah.
I was so close. I was
4-3. That's shocking.
100%. So I moved to Phoenix to play ball for a year and like a studio, and then moved home. Fell out of love with the game. For whatever reason, fell in love with real estate. I don't know how. Just reading books, real estate kept coming up. Bought a duplex when I was 20 years old on Ohio State's campus. It was the first house I bought, and then paid a mentor at 21. Flipped my first house at 22. I'm 27 now, and we're probably 250 houses deep between flipping, wholesales, rental properties, new construction, condo conversions, little bit of everything. So real estate business now, kind of does smaller apartment buildings, smaller commercial buildings, residential builds, wholesales, all the above right now.
That's cool, man. And where did you go? Where did you play high school basketball?
So I was in Gahanna, so I was just a little suburb outside of Columbus.
Yeah, man. East of my wife was a teacher at Granville for a year, so she lived in Gahanna off more somewhere. I don't remember where it is now, but
yep.
That's cool, man. So and what's interesting is you don't do most folks do like kind of a one-trick deal where they either wholesale or they do some flips or maybe some buy and holds, but you do a whole bunch of stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about what's it like to go from just a single family or a duplex to a condo conversion? What's that process look like if you're a person out there wondering?
For sure. Absolutely. So, the areas that we were doing it in, I would used to keep duplexes, buy them, renovate them, stabilize them, refinance them, keep them as a rental. Prices kept going through the roof. People kept paying more. So the rental didn't make sense. Neither did the flip number wise. So what you can do is you can split each side into condos and then sell each side individually. So the condo split, takes a couple months. You can do that while it's under construction, so you don't lose any time on that. But the cost is anywhere like $5,000 to $8,000, give or take. But if you can sell a duplex for, let's call it $300, or you can sell each side for $200 a side, you're obviously making more money. So did a few of those. Market kind of got saturated with it, so I'm not doing them anymore. But just all the condo conversion we have done has only been like duplex splits so far.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of folks making big bucks down in Columbus with just turning, like those buy and hold little doubles that aren't very fancy, and then adding some money to them and selling them for crazy amounts on both sides. And you still got a wall you got to share, but
agreed.
People don't mind, I guess.
It's crazy. I mean, everybody wants the house hack right now. Everybody loves the duplex model.
Yeah, I guess if you don't mind having a really close neighbor, that's okay. No problem with that.
For sure.
Yeah, and so what kind of markets are you in? Are you just in Columbus, or do you go anywhere else, or what's that look like?
Yep. So just here in Franklin County, which is Columbus, done all the deals here. We went into Cincinnati 4 months ago. We've done like 4 or 5 deals down there. We're just wholesaling down there. We're doing all the flipping and buying and everything up here. But right now it's just those 2 markets.
Cool.
Nice. So cool. That's cool. You mentioned you've been reading some books, real estate kept coming up or whatever. What were some of the biggies? What are some that you recommend really change your mindset or open your eyes to something?
Absolutely. So first book I read when I was 19. I hated school. I didn't read books in school. I did the little cheat sheets. But, I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that changed my life for sure. That's kind of what put me on the trajectory of like learning and reading and, just getting educated outside of schooling. And then, books like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Power of Thinking Big, Relentlessness, things like that is kind of what I've read. I mean, in high school, never read. We all hated it. Now, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I don't know about you guys, but like I try to read every morning because I feel like that's where the real education's at now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Getting out of the classroom and continuing the education is where it's at. Yeah, we Napoleon Hill also did How to Raise Your Salary, which is even more influenced by Carnegie, and we really like that one too. But yeah, really good stuff there.
I read that last week. Fire book. Loved it.
Yeah, no, it's funny now as a grown up. I'm actually finishing books. Like in high school, read a few, skip a few. Yeah, I've read the whole thing. It's cool.
The summaries and the cliff notes are still valuable. It's a good way to get kind of a little
way to get started.
But, yeah.
For sure. I mean, and nowadays the Audible. If you're flying, if you're driving, like you can read books in the car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll say definitely technology isn't that helpful in some ways, but I mean, yeah, just that alone, the way information can be shared so efficiently is just excellent. Just really lucky to be around this time.
Yeah, it's crazy how much of an advantage we have from folks even 10 years ago, on the access to things, even before there were, every public library has an online account. I mean, there is never a shortage where there was not long ago. Like even 10 years ago, you still had to go to the library and go get it,
Right.
Now you can just get it on your phone. You have really no excuse. So
yeah, I joke with the people around me. I'm like, I don't understand how people did business without technology. Faxes, emails, wires. How do you operate a business?
Well, you couldn't move as quick. So like Austin from 20 years ago would maybe have done, 25 deals in 5 years. You can just 10x everything now because technology's just absolutely crazy. Like signing a purchase agreement, that would take you probably 10 days. Yep. Now it's like 5 minutes if you can line it up. So
click of a button now.
Yeah, not even 10 clicks. Yeah,
right. So another important thing we like to talk to folks about is like how networking has helped them, and not the boring transactional stuff where you show up with coffee and like a sticker on your shirt. But like, can you, is there any specific, and you don't need to name any names, but obviously if you want to, like anybody you remember meeting being like, this is going to kind of change my life? Because I think, most people that are doing well or are soon to be doing very well, there is that point in time like, man, it was really cool. I met that person and now I know things are going to be different. So
100%, networking, it's the power of the people around you. There's the saying that if you hang out with 5 millionaires, you'll be the 6. So super, super important. Honestly, like social media for me has been huge to meet people. You can get in front, just like we are today. You can get in front of a ton of people that you've never known before, simply social media. So where I network is a lot on social media. And then I purposely go out, even if I don't want to go out, and sit at the bar or go out to eat or go to a car show or whatever it is and just create conversations with people, because you never know who you're going to meet at the end of the day. A lot of my private money lenders are just from out meeting people out, in the city at various events. So I agree. Networking is huge. Through my life, I had a mentor of mine, Mike. in high school. He was kind of the first person to put me on business. Super successful, owns like 5 or 10 different businesses. And I don't know, just hearing how he talked, how he talks about money, how he thought about money. That was the first person that kind of like spurred the interest in entrepreneurship. And then, over time, I've had various different mentors. But one of mine, Mark Evans, has definitely been extremely influential in my life. And he came from going to a real estate networking event.
Yep.
So, you got to put yourself out there and stay in front of people.
Yeah, that's really big. And we got Steve Morris saying we are 3 of his favorites. So shout out to Steve. And we got other solid comments like from Pat Hilton said, when I think about dominating, I think about the two brothers. So that checks out. That checks out.
We got to get a collection of Pat's quotes about us.
Pat's really done a nice job.
Put out a poster.
Friday, and I can feel it's he's either super drunk or super sarcastic. But I appreciate it anyway.
Either way.
Either way, it checks out, bro.
That's funny.
So one of the things so we're not a city slicker like some guy that grew up in Northeast Columbus like you. We're hillbillies. So like it took a long time for us. We grew up in Garrettsville, Ohio. It was like a town of like 2,000 people. Mm-hmm. So it took a long time for us to hear about some of this stuff and masterminds and stuff like that. So I know you do some of that. Can you kind of talk about how that's helped? It's basically a scaled up version of networking. It really refines the folks in the room. But what's that done for you?
No, 100%. It goes back to the same thing, but the power of the people you surround yourself with. So I'm a big believer in education and masterminds and mentorships. I spent over $100,000 in 2019 on different, masterminds and mentor programs and things like that. So, anything people do except like Tesla or something, like something crazy, it's already been done by somebody. You're not recreating the wheel. You can try, but like, why not pay for the shortcut? So, putting yourself around those people has been huge for me. I was in a room last week, with guys that are flipping 400 houses a year, that make 60 million a year. Like, crazy. Just hearing those people talk and how they think and how they talk about money and their thought process. Like, that stuff's priceless. You're not going to get that hanging out with, unless you're extremely lucky, but you're not going to get that hanging out with your high school buddies or anything like that. So, putting yourselves in those rooms is priceless. You don't know what you don't know at the end of the day. Like, if you don't think and see that you can make, $100,000 or $1 million or $10 million a year, whatever it is, like, it's very difficult for you to just wake up one day like, all right, I'm gonna make 10 million. You've had no vision of that success anywhere around you. That can be very difficult to do. So putting yourself around that constantly will force you to level up, because you don't want to be the small guy in the room anymore.
Yeah, shame.
Yeah, it's funny how often you just get around somebody else and they say something, and you're like, oh yeah, I never thought of it that way. It makes total sense, and just little stuff, doing that more often, it just helps you. Mark mentions thought auditing and stuff like that, where you just challenge yourself constantly and be around people that are thinking big and sharing ideas together and stuff. It's always great. So yeah,
and I think it's really powerful too when you're in a room with people that are very successful, or someone you look up to, and then you spend time with them, you're like, not to like disparage them, like, oh, that guy's actually an idiot and he's doing really well. But like, you do like put yourself in their shoes. You're like, oh, it's just a regular guy. Like, why can't I do that sort of thing? So there's a ton. I feel like by association, just a ton of power in being in that room.
100%. I mean, they're human. They're not some super figure. Like, they're literally just like you and I.
Right. Yeah, it's no different than like, when you were playing a lot of ball, like I'm sure if you saw like a pro come into a room, like you can feel like the aura and like the tug. And then you like talk to him for a minute and you're like, man, this is just a guy, he's just a tall dude and he's really good and athletic, but there's a lot to it. And then, but for me, that didn't get me into the NBA still. It might work in real estate, but it doesn't work in the NBA. So.
Yeah, agreed. Same here.
So speaking of getting ideas and being flexible and all that sort of thing, you mentioned you don't have you're not one trick real estate guy. So you mentioned a little bit about like condo conversion. It didn't make sense to just have a condo, traditional rental, and all that sort of thing. So you went to or a duplex converted into a condo was a better route. Can you talk about any other ones? Share with anybody else, like some ways like you determine how you're going to go about it on a deal, or an example of one that really outside of the condos that really hit a home run when you changed routes?
For sure. So, I mean, when I first got into the business, I got into rehabbing and flipping houses. You know, that's what I was taught. That's what I knew. First house, bought it for 70 grand, put $170,000 into the rehab, made $103,000 net profit. Like that was my business model. I did 10, 20, 30 of those. And what I saw is there's a neighborhood here in Columbus where everybody wanted renovations. Everybody was dying to rehab houses there. And then there were infill lots that nobody was touching. So, you know, rehabs were selling for $350,000. And I was sitting there, I was like, if these lots can be purchased, like, are they going to sell and build new construction? Are they going to sell for the same price? Or are they going to sell for more? So I started looking around at the different neighborhoods that had new construction, and the new construction were selling for like $100,000 more than the rehab houses. But we didn't have any data to prove that in our specific, you know, neighborhood. So kind of went out on a limb, like just simple thought process, like it has to sell for more if everything else is, and it's a new construction.
Yep.
So I went around the entire neighborhood, cold called all the lots, bought like 10 or 15 of the lots for $10,000, $20,000 a piece, and then built 3 houses. I was the first person to build 3 houses in the neighborhood. I could have messed around and broke even on all of them. You know, things didn't sell for what I thought they were going to sell for, or could have made a ton of money. Ended up making $100,000, $120,000 a piece on those 3 lots.
That'll do.
Yeah, everybody saw it, went down there. Prices for other lots went through the roof. And I actually just sold 4 lots today that I picked up for 20 grand 3 years ago. I sold them for $90,000 a piece today. So like made 280 grand on not even doing anything.
Nice.
You know, in 2 or 3 years. So thinking a little bit outside of, you know, the only thing that you know, and just common sense. Like, all right, put 2 and 2 together. It makes sense. You know, in worst case scenario, you break even. It's not the end of the world. So from that alone, I've built tons of houses, sold land, made over $1 million just on that one strategy.
Nice. Yeah. So you bought some lots. You held on to some you just mentioned. Did you do some building as well yourself, or did you partner up with builders?
Yeah, no, we always hire general contractors, builders. So we hired them to build it. We built, I don't know, probably 10 houses. I built my own personal house down in the same neighborhood. And then all the other lots that I had, I feel like the market's flooded right now. So like, I don't want to be one of 30 new construction homes.
Right.
So I just liquidated the rest of the land that I owned.
Nice.
Yeah, man, that's great.
Yeah, it's great. Yep. Just sit there and just, you know, be a little creative, and just that moment of like, what else can we do? It can be a lot more powerful than you realize.
For sure.
And I didn't mention this while we're in the green room, but one thing we like to do when we have somebody on that's on social media is we ripped off from what's the chicken eating thing, Adam? What's that called? The
Hot Ones?
Hot Ones, yes. So
yeah.
They have this thing called Name That Gram. Ours is, of course, not Name That Gram. It's, what do we want to call it? Identify That Gram? Tell us about that gram. What did I learn growing up? And you can tell us about what it is and what in the world you're doing here. Hold on.
John, pull it up.
Interesting.
There's a guy. What's that guy doing?
So that's the picture I thought she was going to put up there.
Oh, really?
Powers. This guy has powers.
He's a smart guy.
That's funny. So yeah, like I said, I'm a big believer in social media.
Yeah,
I used to use it to be cool and, you know, have clout and all those other things back in the day. But I realized you can make a ton of money on social media. You know, I've made over, you know, 7 figures from various different things, joint ventures, lending money, buying deals, simply just from social media. So building my brand, you know, I have a full-time videographer in-house now. And this picture, we literally drove around the city that day and just took different pictures for social media content.
I was thinking you would tell me like it's at the Coliseum, you know, it's out in like
some cool story.
European city. Yeah, some torn down. Well, that's cool. Cool. It's in Columbus.
For sure. Yeah.
Ohio's own.
Nation, yeah, state capital. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. Social media, it's a weird animal where it does take like a real leap to get through like you know, I think Gary Vee talks about a lot of like kind of the embarrassment or like that you're putting yourself out there, so you must think you're better than everybody else. And then you just comes around to it like, F it. Like, what do I care? You know? And when you get to that point, it's a lot easier. So
I remember the first time I posted on social media, it was maybe 3 years ago or so. And my mentor was like, yo, you got to get on social media. You got to get on social media. You got to get on social media. And finally I journaled like this whole like speech I was going to give, and I had my journal right in front of me. I had my phone set up like on some cup up in front of me.
Dude, for sure. Yeah.
Facebook Live, like ready to go. All I got to do is click play. And all jokes aside, I stared at the screen for over an hour, like legitimately an hour. Stared at the screen, started sweating because I was nervous about what people was going to think of me. And finally clicked play, and I was like 20 seconds into it, and I was like, oh crap, nobody's on this. There's 0 views.
Yeah, there's no eyeballs. We get that a lot around here.
So I picked up my phone to cancel it, but I was like, nah, gotta do this. So I went through it, and that was the first time I ever posted, and now I'm on social media all day, every day, making money off of it. So you just gotta get out of your own way, but it's a very real thing. You know, it's definitely scary at the beginning.
Yeah, it's funny. Adam and I used to do these things, these learner levels on Friday, but we would like script it and then we record it, and then I would just like plug it into Facebook. But it would take us so friggin' long because like I would stutter around and sound like an idiot, and then we'd do a next take, and then it would be Adam's turn to stumble around, and we were like, dude, we just got to go live because it's just a waste of life. And then we did, and it's, you know, and people don't. It doesn't need to be polished. Nobody wants a commercial, you know. So you just come on here and ramble on, and people don't seem to mind. So
people like the realness. You know, like we're human. We screw up. We stutter for words. Like we can relate at that point. It's not a projection.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. Cool. Yeah, and I think you mentioned in one of your other posts, just I think you were talking about Gary Vee, just the idea of that you give. I think is what you quoted from that. But talk a little bit about that, how that's played out, and why you think that's the most important.
No, 100%. You know, it's Gary Vee says give. Well, jab, right hook. So you give so much. Like I'll be posting on social media. I got YouTube videos. I give out. You know, I host free monthly meetups here in Columbus, and people come up to me all the time and they're like, why are you giving away so much? Like, you can charge for this. Like, why are you giving out the secrets? And to me, like, you add so much value to people, you know, even me, like I get into deals and I'm like, oh crap, you know, I don't know what to do here. Let me call my buddy that I know does that. Or, oh crap, you know, I don't have the money for this deal. Let me call my buddy that does that. So, you know, it's because they've added value to my life. I want to return that value to them. So the more you give to people, the more they feel inclined to give back to you. It's like the law of reciprocity.
Yeah, reciprocity. Yeah.
So no, like I'm a big believer in that. You know, that's really what social media is. It's just adding value, give. And then, you know, if you ever do have a course to sell or a meetup to sell or a mastermind to sell, you've given so much value. You know, those are the same people, ideally, that are going to be the ones, you know, present at those types of things.
Yeah, no, and it's easy to forget, but like that person wouldn't even probably know who you were if you didn't give so much content, you know. And they come up to you and they're like, "Why are you giving away so much?" It's like, so people like you walk up to me, and then you know we'll end up doing something together, or you know, you'll pay me down the road or something, you know. So I mean, there is a lot of value, and it's easy to forget that, but there is. You know, in that book you just read, How to Raise Your Own Salary, you know, I think one of the best lines in there is that you take a temporary loss for a permanent gain.
Yep.
And that's like so true, right? It's like, yeah, I put out, you know, Adam and I and you will ramble on here for 30 minutes but it will turn into something somewhere, you know, and maybe it'll get somebody to get excited about buying lots in Columbus. They should wait until the market corrects, but
yeah.
But yeah, you know.
No, yeah, it's you can't get underpaid because ultimately, even if you're giving it away for free for now, you're setting up for like people know that you aren't going to waste their time because you're not wasting their time when you're up there giving out content. And so somebody sees you're offering something for sale, they're gonna be like, yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about, right? So I mean, like that's just one example where you aren't really being underpaid, even though you're giving it away for free because you're.
People always ask, like, you know, what's the ROI on social media? Like, all right, if you make a post, how much do you get paid? Like, there is no ROI.
There's no measure, right?
Who the fuck knows? But like, long term, like I was posting on social media for like a year and a half, giving content before I ever monetized anything. But I gave so much, and then I dropped the course, and then people started buying it. So like, there's no ROI. It's just something you have to truly want to give and help people, and it always comes back tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it does. It is nice when people are like, "Oh, I didn't know." Like, you put the most basic stuff out that you think is easy, right? And then someone's like, "Oh, I had no idea." You know, it's like, "Oh, good." That made my rambling on about it definitely worth it. So.
100%.
So speaking of like putting out content stuff, I mean, what do you got going on now? Tell us a little bit about this course, and is it still up for sale or supplies?
For sure. No, absolutely. So it's a real estate course. I got asked. I was giving out content. Got asked so many times, like, I want to get started. Where do I start? Can you be my mentor? All these questions. So finally decided to put a course together. But the course is basically all the ways that I make money in real estate. So it teaches like how to market to find distressed sellers, sales and negotiation, how to talk with them, how to comp properties, what wholesaling is, how to raise private money, flipping houses, managing contractors, buying rental properties, mindset. It's like an all-in-one type of thing that teaches all different aspects of real estate. So I dropped it like, I don't know, now 2 or 3 months ago or something like that. So definitely still for sale. But
sold.
Wow.
You hear that list? Yeah, that's great, man. Good for you.
Thanks, man. Yep. So it's like an A to Z basically on real estate. How to get started, and if you're already in the business, how to get into other things.
Nice. Awesome, that's cool. One other thing we'd like to ask about, or like, that's your deal for the business. We've heard a little bit about what you're doing and stuff. Like, what do you do outside of business that's important that you think people should know about?
Family is always important. I go see my family every week. So very, very tight with them.
Fellow mom's boy. That's good.
But outside of that, I just love to travel. Like I love traveling. I went on like 40, 45 trips last year. So I'm doing a vacation mastermind in Cancun next week. Like I love being places, oceans, experience new cultures. So that's really the big one for me. It's just travel.
One or two that we've never heard of, which is probably anything. Highly recommend. Out of 45.
So a place called Puerto Vallarta. It's on the west coast of Mexico.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's top 2 places I've ever been. Turks and Caicos and Puerto Vallarta. And it's the cheapest place I've ever been. So highly recommended. Beautiful. You got like ocean, and then literally across the street you have rainforest. So it's awesome. And then Turks. I love Turks and Caicos. It's the clearest water I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, I've never been over there, but yeah, I've seen and I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. It's strange how clear it is, It's like
agreed, for sure.
suspicious clarity.
Same planet?
That's cool. Well, good, man. We're super pumped to have you on. Appreciate all the time. I mean, I learned a little, maybe a lot actually. So thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Cool, man. Have a good weekend.
For watching, and happy Friday, everybody.
Absolutely.